By the spring of 1941, the Battle of the Atlantic had become the single most critical theater of World War II. German U-boats, operating in ruthless wolf packs, were sinking Allied merchant ships, the vital supply line carrying food and material from the United States to Britain, at a devastating and unsustainable rate. Winston Churchill himself recognized that the failure to secure the convoys meant certain defeat, regardless of success on other fronts. The survival of Britain hinged entirely on finding a way to track and eliminate the deadly German submarine fleet before the nation was starved into submission. The massive technological barrier standing in the way of the Royal Navy was the German Naval Enigma cipher machine. While the Allies had made foundational breakthroughs in reading earlier German codes thanks to the work of Polish cryptologists, the German Navy used a distinct and more complex version of the Enigma machine, often featuring an extra rotor. This additional layer of complexity rendered the decryption methods developed for the land and air forces virtually useless against the German U-boat communications, leaving the Royal Navy blind to the coordinated movements and devastating attacks of the German wolf packs. To win the Battle of the Atlantic, the Allied intelligence services realized they needed more than just mathematical theory. They needed a physical breakthrough. The key lay in capturing a German submarine intact, along with its current, operational Enigma machine and, most crucially, the daily use codebooks and key sheets. These documents contained the precise settings necessary to break the current version of the naval cipher. The German High Command had issued strict orders that these materials must be destroyed or jettisoned before a submarine was captured, making the acquisition of such a treasure an extremely rare and high-stakes intelligence coup. The Royal Navy began actively preparing for this possibility. Specialized hunter-killer groups, composed of destroyers and corvettes, were deployed across the critical North Atlantic supply lanes, tasked not just with defending convoys, but with aggressively hunting and destroying German U-boats. The stage was set for a deadly confrontation between a determined German Navy captain and a relentless British escort group, a battle that would decide who controlled the essential flow of information and, ultimately, who controlled the sea. The critical encounter occurred on May 9, 1941, in the harsh waters of the North Atlantic. The German submarine U-110, commanded by the veteran U-boat ace Lieutenant Commander Fritz Julius Lemp, successfully located an Allied convoy escorted by a small Royal Navy group. Lemp, known for his aggression, launched a devastating attack, firing a spread of torpedoes that sank several merchant ships and immediately threw the Royal Navy escort into immediate, frantic action. The priority for the British escort was no longer to protect the convoy, but to immediately hunt down the deadly German U-boat. The escort group, which included the destroyer HMS Bulldog and the corvette HMS Albrietia, quickly turned to the attack. Using their newly installed ASTIC, the early form of sonar, they successfully located the submerged U-110. Captain Joe Baker Creswell of the HMS Bulldog immediately ordered a fierce counterattack, deploying a pattern of devastating depth charges directly over the submerged location of the submarine. The explosions were powerful and close, violently rocking the German U-boat and inflicting serious damage on its hull and internal systems. The damage sustained by the U-110 was catastrophic. The sustained, accurate depth charges shattered the U-boat's pressure hull, disabled its dive planes, and destroyed its compressed air system, leaving Lieutenant Commander Lemp with no control over the vessel's depth. The submarine was violently forced to the surface, bursting out of the water directly in front of the approaching British warships. Believing his submarine was sinking rapidly and completely helpless, Lemp ordered his crew to immediately abandon the U-boat and attempt to scuttle it by opening its main sea valves. This desperate moment created the singular, critical intelligence opportunity the Royal Navy had dreamed of. As the German crew scrambled out onto the deck of the rapidly sinking submarine, Lieutenant Commander Lemp, focused entirely on saving his men and ensuring the sub's destruction, tragically failed to confirm the destruction of the secret materials. The Enigma machine and the sensitive codebooks remained intact on the diving U-boat, presenting an unmissable target for the approaching British ships, who immediately ceased fire to launch a boarding party. The sight of the listing, abandoned German U-boat bursting to the surface was an unprecedented sight for the Royal Navy escort group. Captain Joe Baker Creswell immediately realized the profound intelligence opportunity and made a split-second decision. He ordered a young officer, Sub-Lieutenant David Baum, to lead a small, incredibly perilous boarding party onto the submarine. The danger was immense. The U-110 was clearly damaged and could sink at any moment, or it could be booby-trapped by the escaping German Navy crew. This delicate, high-stakes operation had to be executed in minutes to secure the prize. Lieutenant David Baum's team climbed onto the wet, slippery deck of the U-110 and quickly secured the hatch. Upon descending into the control room, they made the dramatic discovery that would change the course of the Battle of the Atlantic. The German crew, scrambling to abandon ship under the pressure of the depth charge attack, had tragically failed to destroy the vital materials. Lying on the captain's chart table was a fully intact, functional Naval Enigma cipher machine, and next to it, the true treasure, the current, daily codebooks and key setting sheets. The significance of these codebooks was paramount. The Allies knew the mechanics of the Enigma machine, but without the key sheets, finding the daily settings for the complex naval version of the cipher was a mathematically impossible task for Bletchley Park. The captured codebooks provided the missing link, the keys of the day, allowing the British codebreakers to instantly decrypt intercepted German U-boat communications and understand their coordinated movements. The quick, decisive action of Lieutenant David Baum in securing these papers marked the true moment the Royal Navy won the Battle of the Atlantic. The Royal Navy immediately recognized the magnitude of the intelligence coup. The entire capture was classified ultra-secret, and every surviving German crewman was strictly separated to maintain the illusion that the U-110 had been lost with all hands, preserving the integrity of the Enigma code. To maintain this crucial deception, the British attempted to tow the damaged U-110 back to port. Tragically, the heavily damaged U-boat sank en route, but not before the vital Enigma machine and all the code materials were safely recovered and rushed to Bletchley Park. The moment the sensitive codebooks and the Naval Enigma machine were secured from the captured U-110, they were immediately treated as the most vital intelligence asset of World War II. The Royal Navy deployed extreme measures to ensure their safe and swift transport to the highly secretive code-breaking center at Bletchley Park in England. Every step of the journey was shrouded in absolute secrecy, emphasizing the immense strategic value placed on these physical keys to the German Naval Enigma cipher. Upon arrival at Bletchley Park, the captured materials were instantly handed over to the elite team of cryptanalysts, including the brilliant Alan Turing. The captured Naval Enigma machine itself, while valuable, was less crucial than the accompanying codebooks. These daily key sheets provided the essential, precise settings for the rotors and plug board that were changed by the German Navy every 24 hours. With these current settings, the codebreakers could suddenly unlock the previously impenetrable messages, instantly transforming the entire landscape of the Battle of the Atlantic. The impact of this intelligence coup was immediate and profound. Within days, Bletchley Park began decrypting vast numbers of intercepted German U-boat communications, which the Allies codenamed ultra-intelligence. For the first time, the Royal Navy and the Allied High Command had real-time insight into the coordinated movements of the dreaded German U-boat wolf packs. They knew precisely where the submarines were operating, their intended targets, and their patrol routes, giving them an unprecedented and decisive advantage. The ability to read German naval Enigma traffic had an almost immediate, dramatic effect on Allied convoy losses. The Royal Navy could now expertly reroute convoys away from known U-boat concentrations and guide their escort groups directly to the enemy submarines. This intelligence directly saved countless lives, tons of vital shipping, and allowed Britain to continue receiving its essential supplies, preventing a catastrophic defeat in the Battle of the Atlantic. The capture of the U-110 was not just an intelligence coup. It was the turning point that allowed the Allies to begin winning the war at sea. The intelligence retrieved from the captured U-110 immediately triggered a profound, irreversible shift in the Battle of the Atlantic. At Bletchley Park, the Enigma machine and the captured codebooks provided the cryptanalysts with the foundational keys necessary to swiftly and consistently decipher the German Naval Enigma cipher. The decryption rate surged, and for the first time, the Royal Navy and Allied High Command gained real-time, actionable insight into the coordinated movements and devastating attacks of the entire German U-boat Wolf Pack fleet. The dark period of fighting blind at sea was suddenly over. The effect on Allied convoy losses was immediate and staggering. With ultra-intelligence, the code name for information derived from Enigma decryption, the Royal Navy could now expertly reroute vital merchant convoys around known U-boat concentrations, steering thousands of tons of essential shipping safely across the Atlantic. Simultaneously, Allied escort groups could be guided directly to the enemy submarines, turning the hunter into the hunted. This strategic turnaround dramatically reduced the crippling sinking rates that had plagued Britain, directly ensuring the nation's survival and securing the logistical lifeline from the United States. Crucially, the German High Command remained entirely unaware that their Enigma cipher had been compromised. They mistakenly believed the sudden, massive increase in Allied effectiveness was due to technological advances, specifically better ASTIC sonar equipment or improved aerial patrols. This fundamental, mistaken belief was vital for the Allies. Because the Germans maintained faith in the unbreakable Enigma machine, they continued to use the same cipher system, allowing Bletchley Park to continue reading their secret traffic for nearly a year, an intelligence advantage that proved invaluable. The entire success of this intelligence coup depended on maintaining absolute secrecy. The existence of ultra-intelligence was classified as the most tightly held secret of World War II. Its protection was paramount, requiring the Royal Navy to take extraordinary measures to conceal their source. In some tragic, necessary instances, Allied command was forced to allow smaller convoys to proceed into danger and even accept the sinking of ships, rather than rerouting them and alerting the German Navy that their code had been compromised. The knowledge saved the war, but the silence cost lives. The incredible flow of ultra-intelligence from Bletchley Park, derived from the captured U-110 materials, profoundly influenced the tactical decisions of the Royal Navy and Allied High Command. However, the Allies faced a constant, immense challenge: how to utilize this highly sensitive information without ever revealing to the German Navy that their Enigma cipher had been compromised. This imperative led to the development of sophisticated deception tactics, including the use of decoys and elaborate diversions. When ultra-intelligence revealed a major German U-boat Wolf Pack lying in wait for an Allied convoy, the Royal Navy would implement complex deception plans. Instead of simply rerouting the main convoy, which might have alerted German suspicions, they would sometimes send a small, expendable decoy convoy into a known danger zone. This sacrificial measure served two purposes. It confirmed the U-boat's position and allowed the main, larger convoy to pass through safely and undetected, ensuring that German High Command continued to believe the Enigma was secure. Another crucial tactic was the development of advanced anti-submarine warfare technologies, which could be publicly credited for the increasing Allied success. New forms of radar, improved ASTIC sonar, and long-range Allied aircraft were continually introduced and overtly publicized as the reasons for the shifting fortunes in the Battle of the Atlantic. This allowed the Royal Navy to attribute their sinking of German U-boats to technological superiority rather than cryptographic breakthroughs, further reinforcing the German belief in the Enigma's invulnerability. The successful implementation of these deception tactics meant that the German Navy never truly suspected the compromise of their communications during this critical period. Even as U-boat losses mounted and Allied convoy sinkings dramatically decreased, Grand Admiral Karl Donitz and his high command maintained absolute faith in the security of their Enigma machine. This sustained period of deception, enabled by the capture of the U-110, allowed the Allies to turn the tide of the Battle of the Atlantic, buying them crucial time and safeguarding the vital transatlantic supply routes that would ultimately win World War II. The immense intelligence advantage gained from the capture of U-110 eventually faced a fundamental technological countermeasure. Although the German High Command never discovered the breach in their code, Grand Admiral Karl Donitz noticed the increasingly efficient Allied convoy rerouting and, believing the three-rotor Enigma might be vulnerable to interception, ordered a security upgrade. In February 1942, the German Navy introduced a new, highly complex four-rotor Naval Enigma machine, which Bletchley Park codenamed Shark. This new rotor added a colossal new layer of complexity, instantly rendering the previous decryption methods useless. The sudden introduction of the four-rotor shark machine plunged the Allies back into cryptographic darkness. The Royal Navy had lost its vital intelligence edge, and the period that followed was tragically known as the Second Happy Time for the German U-boats. German U-boats once again began sinking Allied merchant shipping at an alarming rate, particularly along the undefended American East Coast. This devastating surge in sinkings severely threatened the entire war effort and jeopardized the logistical preparations for the eventual Allied invasion of Europe. For months, the brilliant minds at Bletchley Park struggled relentlessly against the increased complexity of the shark machine. The core theoretical foundations provided by the Polish cryptologists and the original capture of U-110 were essential, but they lacked the necessary daily keys to break the new four-rotor code consistently. The Royal Navy and the Allied High Command endured this painful period of massive losses, desperately awaiting the next intelligence breakthrough that could restore their sight at sea and stop the devastating attrition of the vital convoys. The final, definitive solution came from a combination of superior technology and relentless operational intelligence. Bletchley Park received upgraded, more powerful versions of the bomb decryption machines, and the Royal Navy was successful in capturing further U-boat code materials. The intelligence foundation provided by the original capture of U-110 was instrumental, but the ultimate victory over the four-rotor machine in late 1942 and early 1943 was achieved through massive industrial effort, finally allowing the Allies to win the Battle of the Atlantic decisively. The intelligence foundation secured from U-110 proved to be the decisive factor in the Battle of the Atlantic. By early 1943, Bletchley Park had fully conquered the four-rotor Enigma machine, and the Royal Navy was operating with full, accurate knowledge of German U-boat intentions. The combination of ultra-intelligence, advanced technology, and coordinated Allied air and naval efforts crushed the U-boat threat. This victory secured the critical transatlantic supply routes, allowing the Allies to build up the immense logistical resources necessary for the successful invasion of Europe and the final defeat of Germany. The strategic significance of this capture was profound and far-reaching. Without the secure supply line across the Atlantic Ocean, Britain would have been starved into surrender, and the Allied invasion of Normandy would have been impossible. Winston Churchill famously confirmed the absolute critical nature of this theater, stating that the only thing that truly frightened him during the war was the U-boat threat. The intelligence Coup gained from the captured code materials ultimately neutralized this fear, ensuring the security of the Western war effort. The dramatic capture of U-110 was marked by tragedy and high secrecy. Lieutenant Commander Fitzjulius Lemp, the submarine's commander, tragically died during the confusion surrounding the attempt to board and secure the sinking vessel. His death was likely a result of the chaos of the immediate aftermath, though the exact circumstances remain disputed. His failure to ensure the code materials were destroyed, whether through error or misjudgment in the high-pressure situation, remains one of the single greatest intelligence blunders of the entire German Navy. The capture of U-110 remains one of the greatest intelligence coups in military history. The immense secrecy surrounding the operation was maintained for decades, ensuring that the German High Command never realized the code's compromise. The actions of the Royal Navy Escort Group, particularly the bravery of the boarding party led by Lieutenant David Baum, demonstrated how a single act of daring, ingenuity, and high-stakes risk could fundamentally alter the course of World War II, securing a profound place in the annals of naval and intelligence warfare.